Iran is imploding from the inside, and nobody can agree on who's even in charge anymore. The government is fighting the military. The military is fighting the diplomats. And right now, a brand new peace plan is sitting on America's desk waiting for an answer. But here's what nobody is telling you. The man who wrote that plan might be fired before the U.S. even responds. If you've been following this situation with us, you already know we break this down for you every single day. Hit that like button right now. It takes 1 second and it helps us keep this coverage going. Let's get into it. Iran's President Pezeshkian and Parliament Speaker Ghalibaf are reportedly moving to remove Foreign Minister Araghchi. The accusation that he's been taking direct orders from the IRGC, Iran's powerful revolutionary guard, during nuclear negotiations, completely bypassing the elected government. Think about what that means for a second. Iran sent a peace plan to the United States, and the people who sent it may not even represent Iran's actual leadership. That's not a negotiation. That's a crisis wearing a suit. Here's the backstory that makes this even more explosive. When talks first began in Pakistan, Ghalibaf, the parliament speaker, was leading Iran's negotiating team. Then he was suddenly pulled from that role. Nobody announced it. Nobody explained it. He simply stopped showing up. The IRGC had quietly taken control of the process. Now Ghalibaf is fighting back, and he's dragging the president along with him. President Pezeshkian has reportedly told people close to him that if Araghchi doesn't change course immediately, he will personally dismiss him. This is not background noise. This is Iran's power structure fracturing in real time, right in the middle of the most sensitive diplomatic moment the country has faced in decades. And if you want to understand why every new deal seems to fall apart before it even starts, this is your answer. Stay with us because this next part changes everything you thought you knew about where these negotiations actually stand. Now, let's talk about the peace plan itself, because this is the second one Iran has submitted in the last 2 weeks alone. The first proposal offered to open the Strait of Hormuz and end hostilities if America lifted its blockade, but it completely sidestepped the nuclear question. The U.S. rejected it. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff then sent back a counterproposal with 2 firm conditions. First, Iran must commit to not moving any enriched uranium currently stored underground. Second, Iran cannot rebuild any nuclear sites while talks are ongoing. These aren't unreasonable demands. They're the bare minimum required to prove the negotiations are real. And right now, Iran has not agreed to either one. What makes this even more urgent is what was happening behind closed doors in Washington. On the exact same day Iran handed over this new plan, President Trump met with CENTCOM commanders to discuss military options. What came out of that meeting was a proposal for a short, powerful wave of strikes designed to break the negotiating deadlock. But here's the detail that should make everyone pay attention. U.S. Commander Admiral Brad Cooper has formally requested the Army's Dark Eagle hypersonic missile be deployed to the Middle East. This is a weapon the United States has never used in combat. It has a range of 1,500 miles, 5 times the range of the missiles used previously. The reason it's being requested is specific. Iran has repositioned its missile launchers beyond the reach of America's existing precision strike arsenal. Only 8 of these missiles are believed to exist. Each one costs $15 million. The launch battery alone costs $2.7 billion. The fact that anyone is even talking about deploying them tells you exactly how serious this moment is. Meanwhile, a classified Senate briefing confirmed that military options on the table include targeted strikes, possible seizure of portions of the Strait of Hormuz, and the potential deployment of U.S. ground forces. Senator Blumenthal, who attended the briefing, said publicly afterward that he believes an imminent military strike is very much on the table. That is not a senator speculating. That is someone who just sat in a room with the Pentagon telling you what he saw. And while all of this plays out at the military and diplomatic level, Iran's economy is not waiting around. The Iranian currency has just hit an all-time low. Inflation has surged past 50% since the partial economic reopening following the ceasefire. Some reports are placing year-over-year inflation closer to 67%. More than 90% of Iran's seaborne trade has been halted. The country is losing an estimated $450 million every single day. Food and gasoline are being rationed. Companies are threatening mass layoffs just to survive. This is not a recession. This is a controlled demolition of an economy, and the people suffering are not the ones making these decisions. The U.S. Treasury Secretary put it plainly, Iranian people deserve a new era that the current regime simply cannot provide. And that statement landed the same week Trump publicly confirmed that Iran is, in his words, dying to make a deal. He outlined exactly how hollowed out Iran's military capacity has become. Drone factories 82% degraded, missile production down nearly 90%, naval and air capabilities effectively gone. He also addressed the human cost directly, confirming that Iran has executed 42,000 protesters over the past 2 months alone. He personally intervened to stop the execution of 8 women who were hours away from being hanged. 4 were released immediately. The other 4 are expected to be released within the month. He also named a world champion wrestler who was executed. Not for fighting, not for carrying weapons, but for speaking critically about the regime. That is, the government Iran's military is fighting to protect. That is what is sitting across the table from U.S. negotiators right now. So here is where things actually stand. Iran has submitted 2 peace plans. The U.S. has rejected one and is reviewing the second. The man who submitted it may be fired by his own president. The military option is actively being discussed at the highest levels of the American government. The Iranian economy has weeks, possibly months, before the pressure becomes unsurvivable. And the one thing that could change everything, a real commitment on the nuclear question, Iran has still not given. Watch this space. This situation is moving every single day, and we will be here breaking it down for you every single day. If this coverage has been valuable to you, share this video with one person who needs to understand what is actually happening in Iran right now. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think a deal gets done before the military option is used? And if you're not subscribed yet, now is the time. We are not slowing down.